I can't remember the last time I did a sit down video. Whew. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiara if you're new here, and today we're doing, I think, my first dedicated book video. I might have done a reading vlog once before, but I feel like this one's a little bit different. I'm gonna be doing a mid-year check-in and showing you guys all of the books that I've read this year so far. I read a decent amount. I'm at 17 books, and my goal for the whole year of 2025 is 30 books, and I know for a fact I'm gonna like meet that goal, especially with this summer. I feel like I've been reading a lot more than usual. But okay, usually all of my book content has been on TikTok, so make sure to check out my TikTok. I'll have it on the screen somewhere over here. I've also been posting to shorts a lot more frequently. I always forget about shorts, but I realize like once I post a TikTok, I can literally just take that TikTok and put it on shorts. Majority of the time it's that simple, so make sure you're watching those. I know I haven't been very consistent on here, I'm sorry, but I've just had such a hard time wanting to film long form content, and it's just been so much easier to like take my phone and make like a 1-minute TikTok video than it is to like sit down, get my camera out, then take the SD card, and then go and edit and do all that. Anyways, you're not here to hear me yap about that. So let's get into the 17 books that I've read this year. Okay, first we're gonna start off with my Kindle, just because I've only read 2 Kindle books. I read 7 Days in June and The Tenant. I really liked 7 Days in June. I think I gave it 4 stars. Overall, I just felt like it was a little bit cringy when it came to some of the dialogue. Like, I felt like the author was trying to be like hip and cool, but it just kind of backfired because these people at their age wouldn't really talk like that. But I did love that. That was my first romance book by that author. I can't remember what her name is right now, but I know it's something Williams, Tia Williams. I'm looking at the other book right there. And then I just finished The Tenant actually like last week. I gave that one 3.5 stars. Honestly, it was okay. The male character Blake was kind of annoying and kind of like a creep, so that's why I kind of like knocked some stars down. But overall, it was a pretty good mystery. I didn't really guess the plot twist, so that worked in my favor. Also, just a little side note, I do have a Fable account, which I'll have on the screen in case you want to follow me on Fable, and you can see like the books that I'm reading as I finish them, since I probably won't get to do like these videos all the time. And then I also have my longer reviews, like more in depth, if you want to hear more about what I have to say about all those books. All right, so those are the 2 books that I've read on my Kindle so far. This is in no order at all. I just grabbed all my books off the shelf. I also recently finished Remarkably Bright Creatures. This book was okay as well. I was a little bit disappointed. I also did not like the male main character of this book. His name is Cameron. He was supposed to be like 30 years old, but really just was acting like a teenager. Like he was not mature at all, and then he had no redemption. Like, he got redeemed within like the last 20 minutes of the book, but like not 20 minutes in the last 20 pages of the book, but that just was not nearly enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I really like this guy. It was not it. Last month I finally finished The Poppy War. This took me so long to get through. I have a whole in-depth TikTok video of how I feel about this. I might have posted it here on shorts as well. This was just so long, but it's really good. In the middle of the book, it got really dense, so it's just kind of hard to follow, so I wasn't really picking it up that much, but I did really love it. I am currently reading the 2nd book, which is The Dragon Republic. I'm only like 30-40 pages in. Don't really have like much feeling about it yet, but I will say I am feeling bad for Ren and what she is going through. I also read my first Emily Henry book. I don't know if I'll keep reading Emily Henry. It took me a while to get through this book. I just felt like the characters, Daphne and Miles, they just didn't seem like they really went together. Like, I felt like they were really being forced into a relationship and like this forced chemistry that like they really didn't have anything. Like, they're 2 totally different people when it comes to like how they act and how they are in relationships, and then somehow they're just supposed to get together. I don't know. this was really not for me. And then I read my second Abby Jimenez book, Say You'll Remember Me. I loved this book so much. I gave it 5 stars. Abby Jimenez has never let me down. This is only the second book I've read by her. I'm currently reading Part of Your World. I'm like 100 pages in and I'm loving that. I know that will be 5 stars. And I think Abby Jimenez is my author. Like, I think I found my romance author, and it's definitely her. I love this book so much. Definitely check it out if you haven't read it already. And then I found a new romance author that I love, BK Borison. This is First Time Caller. I absolutely love this book. I thought it was so funny. I love the characters Lucy and Aiden, and how Lucy had like this found family within the book, within her coworkers. Like, everybody was so close and so loving with her. I love this book so much, and she's coming out with another book February 2026 that has to do with one of the other characters that's in this book. I can't remember his name, but he was like the weather guy, and I'm so excited for that book because this one was so good. All right, I think this was my first read of the year, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This book was very interesting, not nearly anything that I thought it was going to be. I was completely surprised about this book, especially when it comes to the fact that there is not any answers. You don't get any answers to any of the questions that you have while reading this book. It's very short, very quick read, but I think the fact that you don't have any answers kind of makes you think a little bit more, and I think that's the whole point of this book, is to evoke some sort of feeling and for you to think about life and where we are on this planet and everything that is going on. Yeah, this one was really good. I can't remember how many stars I gave it. I might have given it 4 stars, maybe 4.5. All right, I also read Fahrenheit 451. This was a little bit random for me to read. Like, a lot of people read this within school. Like, I know I had students that are in English 9 that got to pick either this one or 1984 to read. And I was like, oh, I'm literally reading this right now too. But because I never read this in high school, and especially with this book in 1984 being on the banned book list, I wanted to get my hands on them and to be able to read them and understand why these books are being banned and why people are like basically afraid of them. But I did really like this. I can't remember how many stars I gave it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but it was very interesting and crazy how this book set so long ago is so prevalent to like what we're dealing with today in society and when it comes to the banning of books. All right, I read another Augustina Bazterrica book. She's the author of The Tender of the Flesh, which I love that book. That book was so good. Unfortunately, The Unworthy was not that great. It was good. I felt like it could be longer, but I know she writes short books, but I just felt like we needed like 200 more pages. Like, I just needed her to talk about this a little bit more. It was a drag for me to read, honestly. The concept was different and pretty cool, but overall, I was disappointed. All right, and then I read the most heartbreaking book this year, and that is A Little Life. This was, I think, my second read of the year, and it took me over a month, because look at how thick this is. And this book is so traumatic. Like, if you want to read this and you feel like you're easily triggered, check every single trigger warning that you can, because there is a lot in this book. Now, I'm not one to get triggered very easily, but wow, there were times when I had to put this book down and just walk away, because it was too much, and it's very sad. But overall, I think it's a really, really good book, and I did end up giving it 5 stars. One of my other favorite books of this year is The Conditions of Will. Now, this was my first Jessa Hastings book, and I know now she's being a little controversial out there, so I'm not sure if I want to get into Magnolia Parks or not with how she's, you could look it up yourself. But I love this book so much. I love the cover. This was very different for me. I originally started reading it on my Kindle because I was like, I've never read her books before. I'm not sure if I want to get into this or not, but I was like halfway through and immediately had to go and pick this up from Barnes & Noble, and then I transferred all of my tags. I love this book. I just, like, I can't say any more than I loved how Like, I'm speechless. I love the characters, Sam, Penny, Georgia, their family dynamic. The story was also very interesting. I will say that I did not like her brother. He, in my opinion, did not have a good enough redemption at the end. He was a jerk to her, considering that she's technically like the youngest sibling, like the baby of the family, and he acted like he was the baby of the family and needed to be like coddled, which I understand like how his family treated him because he's gay and he's an alcoholic, but like I just feel like that wasn't a good enough excuse for the way that you treated your sister. But this is really good. Definitely check it out if you haven't. That's the problem with sit down videos, is I just feel like I have to talk so much and like so quick. I'm drinking the sherbet Alani. So good. All right, then I read a nonfiction book this year. My goal is to read a lot more nonfiction. So far, I've only read one. I'm currently in the middle of another one. I'm reading Angela Davis's Women, Race, and Class. So good. Can't wait to talk about that one. But this is The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. If you don't know, she was part of the 8 Passengers YouTube channel, which was really big a few years ago. Maybe like not even a few years ago. A little longer than that, like before the pandemic. They were really big. But basically she talks about her horrors with her mother, Ruby Frankie. I'm sure you've heard all about it because she's in prison along with her girlfriend, partner, friend, mentor, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it was good. I will say that there wasn't really much in it that like I didn't already know from TikTok and stuff. I will say a lot of her own personal life was more interesting that she put in here, because there were things that she personally went through, especially when she left the house, that she went through that you wouldn't have known because she wasn't in the vlogs or in the house anymore. But I definitely think this is very interesting. Definitely check it out if you're interested in the whole YouTube Kids content, family vloggers, like that whole. All right, and then I read the Villains trilogy, which, did I say trilogy? Yeah, that's right, because apparently this is going to be a trilogy now. At first it was just these 2 books, but I think there's another one coming out next year. Not sure if I'm gonna read it, because honestly, like, these books were good. I gave both of them probably 3.5 or 3 stars, but like this, like, I feel like this is YA. Like, I'm not sure. I don't think it is, because they do cuss in this book. I'm not really sure what the terms are when it comes to YA versus adult, but I feel like this is YA just because it's so simple. So it's very easy to read, which I liked. It was a quick read, but I just feel like it was too simple. Like, I wanted a little bit more world building. I wanted a little bit more character development. I did like the characters. I do love Victor, so I think I will read the 3rd book, but overall, I mean, they're okay. Definitely like an easy way to like get into fantasy if you're trying to get more into fantasy, because they're not very complex of a read. She does have other books that I do want to check out that I've heard are better than this series, so we'll see. And then one of my favorite books of this year, and another emotionally traumatic book, is The Nightingale. Now, I'm a history teacher, for those of you that don't know, and I've loved historical fiction. I always have, and this was my first Christian Hannah book. I didn't know much about this book. I knew it had to do with World War II and the Holocaust, but I just did not know how deep in it would go and how it would just tug at my emotions. Like, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now thinking about how this book made me feel. I was literally crying. Like, I was sobbing the last like 20 to 50 pages of this book, and I think I made a video of me like actually full on crying because I was just so shocked at how emotional this book made me feel. Like, obviously it's fiction, but it is based on the Holocaust and World War II, like I said. So like, knowing that information and then knowing what they went through in this book and how this was inspired by true stories, just like really was just like, oh my god, like this book was so amazing. Definitely my top 5, part of my top 5 books of the year. I also have her other book, The Women, that has to do with the Vietnam War, which I think I want to try and read next month, part of my August reads, but that's also a pretty thick book, and I do start school next month, so TBD. And then lastly, one of my other books that I have read so far this year was my first Ali Hazelwood book, Problematic Summer Romance. I did really like this book. I think I gave it 4 stars. This was an age gap romance, my first time reading an age gap romance, which I am a huge supporter of age gap romance. If you know, you know. But my one complaint, which is why I didn't give this 5 stars, is I hated the way that she was first perceived in this book. So what's her name? Maya. I hated how they made it seem like Maya was like 15 years old and Connor was like 100. Like they really made it seem like it was really inappropriate. Now I know it's because she was actually like 19 or 20 and he was like 36 or something at the time, but they really didn't start to get together until she was 23, which still, even at that age, she's not young and that immature. Like she was a fully functioning adult, lived on her own, had a job, was about to start grad school, all of that. So I really didn't understand why they treated it like it was, you know, inappropriate or something. All right, so these are all the books that I have read in 2025 so far. Honestly, I will say I've had a really decent reading year, a lot different than last year, mostly because last year I was reading the Throne of Glass series, so that took up literally half of my year, whereas this year I'm focusing more on standalone books and not like too many in-depth series, even though I am about to start the Crescent City series. But like that's only like 3 books, so it's not too long. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want more sit down book content. Again, don't forget to check out my Instagram and my TikTok, because I know I'm not on here all the time and I'm sorry for that, but I am going to try and do better. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.